Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, I would say there's a cup of tea with Captain Steve, but this is quite clearly a cup of coffee. Yes, I do like a good coffee every now and again, people. But just like my beverage is different, this video is going to be a bit different. So, as you know, I like gaming, I like retro stuff, I like geeky stuff. But there's also a side to me that also likes the paranormal. The paranormal, people inside the viewerverse. So when I was younger, I drowned at a local swimming pool and I had a near-death experience. I was resuscitated, I was fine, I even got back in the pool and started playing. It didn't overly faze me too much at the time. It was only when I got home, reflected back on it, and had a few different nightmares about the thing. But yeah, the way I looked at it after I drowned is, look, I've paid my entrance fee. I'm getting back in the pool. Yeah, strange. It's strange how your brain functions when you're like a teenager. I mean, I was about 13. It was the summer holidays as well. And I'd only just turned 13. You know, I was one of the youngest in my year. My birthday's February time. You know, the summer holidays kick in end of July. So yeah, interesting time. And the whole near-death experience thing was very much so, you know, flashes of light, seeing your own sort of past and all that sort of shenanigans. But then I played this game called No Man's Sky, and it's got a galactic map. I then became like an observer of sorts. And each of the sort of like stars in No Man's Sky, inside of this place that I was, when I went near to these nodes of colour, they had a certain vibrational note to them. And these were memories of everybody throughout time. Time was not linear where I was, different time bubbles everywhere. And different experiences, and they were heightened experiences. Most elements of love, most elements of hate, fear, excitement, joy, each of them were like high resonance, and I was drawn to these high resonant fields of emotion and experience, life experience, in what I would call a sea or universe of consciousness. And I was like an observer. I could see 360 degrees. I couldn't see myself. I had no physical form. If I had to describe myself, maybe a giant eyeball. And I was just going around to each of these nodes and experiencing an experience that I can't, it's not like taste, it's not like smell, but it's kind of like that. But it was a resonance that went throughout my whole being of whatever I was. And when I was back as this all-seeing eye thing, I was like, well, this is what I truly am. You know, my life experience was just that. It was a life experience. And I was trying to search for my own life experiences. And I was thinking, hold on, my brothers are back in that swimming pool. But this was after a good few hours of looking around at all these other life experiences, perhaps in real time. I don't know. It felt like I was there for longer than a few hours. It felt like I was there days, just experiencing all these different life experiences throughout these nodes of this cosmos, this consciousness. Anyway, when I was back in normality, because I actually found my own memory of drowning and went back into myself, and that's when I jolted and woke up on the side of the pool. I've made a video on this many years ago. If I can find it, it's probably still on YouTube somewhere. If I can find it, I'll put a link to it over there so you can go watch it up. But I was having sleep paralysis after that, seeing shadowy entities inside of my room, and there was different forms that they would take, like small, almost like, you know, the grey aliens, the big bulbous heads and the small bodies. I would see those scuttling around in my room, and I couldn't move. I was just paralysed in my bed. Or sometimes there'd be long, thinner, ganglier ones that almost had insectoidy type movements to them. They were a bit more twitchy, and they would appear in bursts of light, almost like they were dancing around the room, a lot taller. And there was one that almost looked like a fairy tale witch that wasn't just a black shadow. You could actually see, you know, proper fairy tale witch, essentially, like a hag in the room. And this was before the advent of the internet. There was bulletin boards, perhaps, but this was freaking years ago. Years and years ago. Actually, no, it was way before even bulletin boards. So all I had was the local library, and you can imagine me as a 13-year-old kid going over to the librarian. Have you got any books on weird shadow entities making you paralysed at night? Lay off the caffeine is probably what they would have said. You know, says me with a giant freaking mug of coffee right now. Anyway. As I got older, I thought, well, I'm going to stick all this down in a book. And I was still having strange dreams and visions and symbols and all sorts passed to me by these entities. So I put it all into a book. I wrote a book, people. And I didn't know what I was going to write when I started writing it. I just set to it and started doing it. Now, at this time, it was so many years later. I was probably about early 20s, perhaps, when I started writing this book. And it grew quite rapidly. Yeah. And it is now what it is. And I used Photoshop. I used a graphics program called Posar. So yeah, this is after the internet's also been created. So I could do a little bit of research on some of these symbols and some of the actual words that I was being passed and all those sorts of other stuff. So I put together this book. Captain Steve, oh Captain Steve, oh Captain. Heck yeah. Why not hit that like and subscribe? Thank you very much. I also used to do paranormal ghost hunts. I used to bump into people and say, look, do you know what this might mean? I even went to my local Freemasonic lodge and I was looking at their symbols because people told me that's a Freemasonic mark, that symbol. You should go speak to the Freemasons. Anyway, went to the Freemasons lodge. I was in there just looking at their symbols. A guy comes out holding a sword with tabards on and all sorts of stuff. So I said, can I help you? I was like, yeah. What's the sword? He told me what the sword was. He was guarding the lodge. It was a Tyler. And he was like, well, if you want to find out more, now's not the time. We're busy at the moment. Come and join us this weekend at the local bowls club over at the local race course. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll see you there. And he said, yeah, you should be able to see me. I won't have a sword with me, obviously. But yeah, come find me. So I went along and I played lawn bowls with them. I played lawn bowls with the local Freemasons. They invited me to join. They thought I was very interested in the symbols and mythologies and all that sort of stuff around Freemasonry. And you know what? I had a bloody good time. I was there for at least 2 years, just renewed my membership, got up to being a Master Mason, which is like the 3rd degree of Masonry. And then I found that things were slowing down for me. For me to then move on to other elements and learn more, I had to buy new regalia, had to pay more money, had to go other nights of the week. And at that time, I actually moved to working nights. So getting to the lodge wasn't so easy. So I said, look, and also I had a major life event. Me and my partner had separated due to the passing of my son, and our relationship had fallen apart. So I had my questions anyway around the whole of spirituality. And I was re-questioning everything that I'd even researched inside of my book. So I kind of started to distance myself from the paranormal at that stage. And that's when I found Ivy. And Ivy is Christian in faith. She doesn't like the paranormal. It scares the bejesus out of her. And I can understand why. And again, I've distanced it even further still. But that element of my life is still out there. It's still on the internet. It's still something that I've put together and wrote, and I feel now more so than ever that I'm seeing things happening inside of the world at the moment that rings true to some of the things that I wrote about inside of this book. Because these entities, these shadow entities, I didn't see them as being demonic or angelic. I saw them as being from an alternate realm, probably offset to our own, like another dimension. And at times during lucid sleep or after a near-death experience, you can see through that veil and see these creatures more so than before. I honestly feel that these beings that I had contact with may predate humanity. They might be ancient beings, or they might have arrived here from another dimension in recent years. I don't know. I'm really unsure on that side of things. So anyway, this book that I've wrote says how you can do ritualistic sort of meditations based on the moon's synodic period and matched to your birth year, but doing ritualistic sort of meditation on those times. And when I say ritualistic, it's no more so than the act of prayer in a roundabout way. It's just focusing on your third eye and understanding your chakra system and unlocking key energy points inside of your chakra system to then open up your mind's eye to be able to see these beings. And granted, I don't think everybody wants to see these beings, because having sleep paralysis isn't a pleasant experience, and it's freaking frightening, to be fair, at first. I mean, you get used to it if it's happening to you almost every other night. You know, like it was happening to me when I was younger. Doesn't happen as often now. It does happen every now and again, normally around my birth moon. So every 28 days I might have the odd sleep paralysis. I might even astrally project, but not purposely. You know, I might have some lucid dreams. But if you do use these ritualistic methods and meditation techniques, you can do it almost at will and open up these gateways to speak into these otherworldly entities or interdimensional beings. Now, this is probably sounding ludicrous and stupid and out there and crazy. If it is for you, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Just click off. You know, it's not like I make these videos every day. I'm a gamer. I'm a geeky guy. This is very left field, but it's a left field that I used to be into some time ago. You know, it's completely out there. So, anyways, this book that I've made, it is available. You can get it in digital format. You can get it in hard book format, and I've got the hard book copy over there. I'll go grab it in a moment. Well, chums, this is the hard copy of the book, The Teachings of Zoilo. As you can see there, it's got like its whole own language set on the back. But inside of this book, I just turned to any old page, you can see there it's beautifully written. And there's lots of illustrations inside of this book as well. So, there you go. But yeah, I've tried to keep it fragmented and as easy to understand as possible. There's the whole bit about the Freemasons, tracing boards, what I learnt there at the Freemasons, and how I feel that each of the degrees represent life events, like the birth, life itself. There's some of my tarot cards that I've done, and how to use the tarot board and placing board for the tarot deck. So there's a lot inside of this book. The hard copy really is beautifully illustrated. I mean, here you go. Here's some more on the Axiom Soul deck. So there's some of the cards inside of there. You can buy it separately as a separate publication and cut all the cards out and make your own deck just using the Axiom Soul deck book. There's some more artwork there. But yeah, it's a lovely thing. The hardback book is pretty cool. It's got lots of sigils in the back for each of the different sort of angels or entities in a roundabout way. Yeah, so there's all sorts inside of that, people. That's it. The Teachings of Zoilo. That's that one anyway. It's a beautiful book. I've also got an electronic version of the book, which is a virtual book that you can actually flip the pages and stuff as an exe file. Okay, chums, this is the virtual book, and you can just, you know, open it up like so. And this talks about who I am, how I come across all of this sort of stuff. And turn in the pages. These are the sort of entities that I mentioned earlier. And the Grey, the Watcher, the Dancer. Another being there, which I called Ananiel. But yeah, there we are. My old website, I made that with Flash. You could key in different codes to get to places. With Flash being stopped now, I mean, this was back in Macromedia days. But yeah, lots of different symbols that have different meanings. And as you go through this, hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense of me just quickly flipping the pages. There you go. I mean, I don't want to flip too many pages, obviously, because you can just pause this, can't you, and have a read anyway. You're going to get the book for free at this rate. If I just hammer the button for a bit, you can see all the tarot cards here, what they mean. Now, these tarot cards, as you're shuffling, you sort of rotate the shuffle, because each of these cards have got like dual meanings on them. Let's just go back a couple of pages for a second. It's like, say, if we look at this one here, for example, it's got a meaning at the top of the card, and then it's got a different meaning on the flip side of the card. So depending on which way it appears, it has a different meaning. There you go. That's probably a better rendition. You can see how they've got different meanings. I mean, I don't think there's a talent card inside of a tarot deck. I could be wrong. I don't know whether there's a companion of the Illuminati either, you know. I mean, all of these, I'm hoping, have got some sort of originality to them. The bending of soul, the growth of mind. I don't think it is a traditional tarot deck. Although people said to me that they are tarot cards, I don't think they are. made back in Windows XP, so good luck if it works on Windows 11. I mean, I've got it installed, it's working for me. I'll bring it up in a bit and I'll show you the electronic version. So I'll show you both, the hard copy, the electronic version. There's also a PDF. It's not as fun as the electronic version, but it's the virtual book. There's a PDF, which is great for reading on the go. But yeah, I put links to the book inside the video description, but I've also made a website just called Captain Steve, and in there it mentions I do gaming, vlogs and talks, but it's also got a tab for the paranormal. Okay, chums, well, this is my website that I've created. Let me just come off the screen a little so you can see this a little bit better. So it's just welcome, and you've got Captain Steve's vlogs, plays and talks, and I've got links to the current year playlist for all 3 of those, and ways and means to support my channel over here. Now, what I'm talking about, I've got the events tab that I mentioned earlier as well. So we've got all this going on inside of here. It tells you about the new event. And then if you click Paranormal, this is where you can actually get to my books, my publications that I've been mentioning. You just click this big Lulu sign over here. So just click that, boom. And that should take you to my storefront page over on Lulu. There's the Axiom Soul deck if you just want the tarot cards. There's the Advanced Teachings of Zoilo as an ebook, or you've got this paperback version of the large book that I picked up earlier. The hardback is the one that I just showed on camera earlier, but there's all sorts inside of here, lots and lots of different books. There's Unlocking Reality, Exploring the Simulation Theory, and it touches on singularity a little there. But there's quite a lot of different books by me inside of here. I mean, there's 2 pages. There's a book on dyslexia. That's the paperback version, but there is also a hardback version of the book. But yeah, there we go, people. That's pretty much my books, and that's my storefront over on lulu.com. You can also find my publications from time to time on Amazon. They're not always available, and it's rather limited, and it does take them a bit longer to ship them, in all fairness. But yeah, Lulu's, they get them out fairly darn quick. A couple of my books have had reviews. If you do pick one up, by all means, please leave a review. That'd be awesome. There's also a tab for events. Be sure to check that one out because it talks about the meetup for No Man's Sky. So yeah, it's just a little bit, it's just showing that there is that aspect to my world. The reason that I'm putting this out there is there's a couple of people that have found it anyway, and they've started hitting me up, emailing me and saying, Captain Steve, is this the same you? Is this you? And what's all this about? And there's a few people questioning. I already put the website up probably about 3 months back. So perhaps they've clicked on the website and found the paranormal tab. So perhaps it's my own doing. But I did have a couple of people, even before that, hit me up and say, what's this all about? So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much everything that I've done when it comes to the paranormal. Oh, I did another book called the Axiom Soul deck, which is my own tarot cards, and I didn't really even know what tarot cards were. I mean, I had heard of tarot cards and they can read people's future, like reading palms, but I made my own deck of cards and I called them a soul deck of cards. And then when I was showing people, they were like, they're tarot cards. At least that one's a tarot card, that one's a tarot card, that one really isn't. So they're a little bit odd, but I made my own tarot deck, if you want to call it that. I mean, I still call it the soul deck. Anyway, people, that's pretty much everything that I have for you. Like I say, all the links that you need are inside the video description. I mean, Halloween is fast approaching. If you do have somebody inside of your family that's quite open to spiritual things, like the strange and bizarre or paranormal, you know, you've got somebody that still dresses in gothic materials and thinks they're a vampire on the weekend, you might want to get them a tarot deck. Or you might want to get them one of these books, because it actually looks extremely beautiful if you get the hard copy. But there's other books that I've written and put out there recently. There's one that I've done on the singularity. The singularity is, you know, humans joining up with AI in a roundabout way. I mean, that's more transhumanism. But singularity proving that we might be in some sort of matrix, and this might be some sort of virtual simulation. I mean, when I was there as the observer, it did feel just like the No Man's Sky galactic map in a roundabout way. So there's a few things to digest there. You might want to go grab yourself a coffee. Maybe I should have warned you of grabbing a coffee at the start of the video, people, because this needs to sort of just listen, take it in, and at the end of it, then make your sort of like your own mind up. I mean, listening to the story, listening to how it came about, how I created this book, and how my life shifted and changed towards the end of it, I'm hoping that, you know, you got some empathy out there. Perhaps when you was younger, perhaps that you went off in different tangents in your life to shape you as the person you are. I mean, that's all I see it as. It's a stepping stone to where I am now. And it's a stepping stone that I trod on, then stepped off. It's not something that, if you've got questions around all of this and you want to hit me up and ask me questions about it, I'm not really open to doing too much around that, to be fair, unless it's one of my recent publications. If it's anything on the paranormal or occult, if you want to call it that. I mean, occult in the word, it just means hidden, essentially. But yeah, I'm not really open to answering too many questions around all of that stuff anymore, unless it's very sort of, you know, really need to know the answer to something, then hit me up and I can always say, look, I'm not prepared to answer that. You know, but you might get that as a reply. Or I might just say, well, try XYZ, or go read this or watch this video. You know, I might have time to put something together like that. But other than that, it's not... I honestly feel that the information that I put into those books all that time ago wasn't really for me. It was things passed to me to put out there that would make sense to other people. A lot of it, when I read it back now, I'm like, I can't believe I wrote this. I mean, what is this exactly? It still doesn't overly make sense to me, but I felt I needed to get it out there to stop the sleep paralysis from happening as regular as it was, and just to close that chapter of my life. I find if I write things down, read it back, I can then move on from it because I can turn the page. So I mentioned the loss of my son. And one of the coping methods for that, when I went to see a psychologist, they actually said, well, write down all the questions that you have around the passing of my son. Go to the hospital where my son passed, and they can answer those questions. You know, sit down with them and tell them that you've got these questions. So I did that. And after I wrote down all the answers to the questions that I had, I then turned the page, and I've tried to put that behind me as best I can, and that really worked well for me. Writing stuff down, getting the answers you need, turn the page. And that helped massively in that point of time in my life, and I hope that helps you, just as a little bit of nugget of information at the end there. But anyway, people, that really is everything that I've got for you now. Sorry for going off on this side tangent and making this little side video, but I figured we've got Halloween not so far away. Some of those books might be a really good gift. But even Christmas presents, you know, if you've got people that are into Wiccan or into meditation or into tarot or anything like that, you might find a book there for them. I've also got a book on how I cope with dyslexia. So there's a book there for everyone on that side. And go hit it up. It's another way to support the channel. And you never know, you might come across something that you would be happy to put on your bookshelf that's got my name on the spine. That'd be quite... I mean, I've got my own. Anyway, I'll grab my copies and I'll show you my copies. Actually, I'd actually insert them as little mini segments when I said about them, okay? So hopefully you've already seen them and you know what they're all about. Well, until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again.